Hello everyone and welcome to Varsity Sports alongside Jody Norstedt. I'm Brian Shawn. Jandy will join us later in the show to talk a little bit about the South Dakota action this past weekend. But Jody, first we start off with the North Dakota Super A girls and boys out in Bismarck. Let's take a look at the bracket and how things shook out on the boys side. And Jody, what surprised you most as you took a look at this bracket in the quarterfinals?
Well, the first two quarterfinals were interesting. Bismarck nearly pulled off the upset, but Davies picked up its shooting in the second half to survive. Then West Fargo, well, they led Minot by 12 at the half, but got into foul trouble in the second half. The Magicians made 16 of 18 from the line, Brian, en route to the 18-point win. What did you see from the semifinal matchup?
Well, I thought two really tight games, back and forth between, when you look at Minot and Davies, two teams that love to get up and down. The Eagles, tale of two halves, 63% from the field in the first half, just 35 in the second half. It's a second semi, two teams that know each other very, very well. Between Century and Dickinson, and Moody, just 5 of 24 shooting in that game. But give credit to the Pats, 17 of 19 from the line. They were the more aggressive team.
So that set up Minot against Century for the state championship, with the Magicians looking for a three-peat. Both student sections were well represented, and they were vocal from the tip-off to the final horn. The Patriots looked right at home early. Cade Lynch flying down the court, and he tosses up the runner, and it finds the cup for 2 of his 5 points. Moments later, Century uses its size down low. Lynch feeds Cade Amundsen, and the 6'6 junior goes off the glass for 2 of his 8. Century takes a 16-10 lead. But Minot answers. Justin Eng starts to heat up. That jumper is smooth to cut the Patriots' lead to 4. Head coach Dean Winchesky approves. He liked this one too. Kewan Johnson deflects the pass and finishes. Plus the foul, Minot closes the gap to 1 after the free throw. But Century goes into the locker room with the lead. Josh Sipes crashing the offensive boards. The Patriots were up 23-20 at halftime thanks to some good defense. Momentum really swings in the opening minutes of the second half. Eng nails the 3. It's part of a 12-4 Minot run as the Magicians take a 32-27 lead. Eng scored 12. Century trying to keep up. This triple by Josh Sipes draws the Patriots within 2, but it was the only made 3 of the game for the Patriots, who are 1 of 21 from outside. The 2-time state champs started to get the edge again. Alex Shimke in the right place at the right time for the putback. Minot had so many momentum-shifting plays. Eng with the steal, and he heads it up for Johnson, who scored a game-high 21 en route to making the all-tournament team. The Patriots trying to dig out of a 9-point hole with 9 minutes left. Trayton Mattern with the teardrop to give them some life, but nothing was going to prevent the Magi from making history. Lofton Klabunde hits the pull-up J to put the game away. Minot wins 56-42 and makes history, becoming the first team to win 3 consecutive state titles since Bismarck did it from 1957 to 1959. Afterward, the Magi admitted last week's loss to Century in the WDA final served as motivation.
We had to bounce back because we never lost in the WDA. So we was like, we got to come with our heads right, play with heart, and we got to come playing physical.
I think they embraced the fact that we are who we are and the challenges we face, and they lined up, made plays every time we needed to.
Growing up, I had no idea that I'd be a part of 3 straight championships in a row. I mean, it's only the second time it's been done, but it's just surreal. I can't describe it. It's the best feeling in the world. It's something I'm going to remember forever.
Well, congratulations to Minot. A great run by the Magi. Head coach Dean Winchesky. A lot to be proud about over the last few years, what they've done in that program. Let's turn our attention to the girls' side. A little more wild on the girls' side. When you look at Thursday and Friday, the top 3 games all went to the higher seed, and then Century able to take it to a pretty good Wappage team, and then in the final game, really a thriller, I thought, between Davies and Legacy, a game that Legacy looked like they were kind of dead in the water towards the end.
You're right. Legacy's Mercedes Baumgartner hits a 3 with about 7 seconds left. That forces overtime, and that ended up being huge considering the history the Sabres were able to make.
Yeah, on day 2, Shanley knocking out Century in a rematch of the 2 state title games, and then Legacy won again in overtime to punch a ticket to the final.
Defending titles has become an annual event for the Deacon girls, but awaiting them was a hungry Legacy team searching for its first title in just its second year of varsity hoops. Whitney Thomas scored the opening 5 points of the game and had the confidence rolling early for the Sabres, but Shanley eventually found its groove. Hadley Huber splashes in one of her 3 triples, and it was just a 1-point game in favor of Legacy at the break. Points were tough to come by, raising the importance of rebounds. NDSU commit Emily Dietz had 22 of those, but was held to just 6 points. Sierra Berg scores down low to tie the game at 28 apiece with 11:22 left. But the Sabres score the next 13 points. Britta Phelan was a force in the paint. She scores over Dietz. Later, it's Kyla Schock with the nice touch for 2 of her 8 points, and the lead is 11 at 45-34 with 6 minutes to go. That's when Steve Jacobson tried to settle down his Deacons, and it worked. Freshman Riley Payne gets the contact in the bucket, cutting the lead to 1. Legacy head coach Jim Petrick is left to sweat it out. Then his team turns it over. Berg with the steal, and it's Payne finishing. Shanley leads at 47-46 thanks to a 13-1 run. But the Sabres deny the Deacon four-peat. They were crashing the boards late. Phelan cementing herself as the player of the game with the and one bucket to put Legacy up 50-47 in the final minute. And let the court storming begin. The Sabres hold on for the 52-50 victory to win the program's first state title. Phelan finishes with the double-double as she and her 7 senior teammates make history.
I think that's kind of always been in the back of our mind since the day we started freshman year, and we knew that we wanted to really create something for the school, and just to do that our second year as the varsity program was just really amazing.
One of our main emphasis is box them out, get our posts to do some work tonight, and they really did. They did a phenomenal job down low, and that's how we won the game.
Shanley's such a good team, so many good players, so well coached, the tradition there. We knew we'd have to play almost perfect game, and we came in with the mindset to take away their posts as best we could, which we did, and offensively tried to spread them out. And I just give my girls credit for never backing down. It looked kind of bleak at the end when they put the press on us, but we found a way to get the win. It feels unbelievable.
Well, that will wrap it up for North Dakota Class A basketball this season. We'll be back to preview the boys B tournaments in North Dakota a little later on. But next, Jandy joins us again to check in with the first 2 state champions in South Dakota. Stay with us.
Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Mitchell Technical Institute and Farmers Union Insurance Agency.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports. 2 of the 6-day tournaments in South Dakota already in the books.
Yeah, let's throw it across the border to Jason for highlights from the Class A girls and girls B tournaments.
Well, thanks, guys. The State A's have been dominated by St. Thomas More over the past 3 seasons, and they came into this tournament as the heavy favorites once again. And as we look at the bracket, we see that Friday St. Thomas More won the game, but they lost their top scorer. Future Utah Ute Drew Gilton hurt her knee in the first quarter, would not return, would not be able to play on Saturday night. Meanwhile, Lennox pulled away from Vermilion, and they advanced to the title game. And that led us to championship night at Frost Arena. Special atmosphere in the air for the Class A crown. Let's get it started. St. Thomas More's Ashlyn Duffy finds Alex Candlin for the twisting lay-in. A little acrobatic there, but a nice shot. And how about an answer from Lennox? Riley Peters, she led the team with 13 points. She gets another 2. This is not a replay right there. And she would add another 3-ball right there. Huge spark for Riley Peters. Gave the Orioles a 13-11 lead early on. Then freshman Madison Glastrom gets a corner 3. It is good. Lennox leads 18-14 at the half. St. Thomas More back on their heels. They need a spark. And guess what? They got it. Second half, Ashlyn Duffy got to work. And they added a big shot from Jaden Bees. A 3 in the corner. She made all 3 of St. Thomas More's 3-pointers on the night. And it's Alex Candlin again. She seems to shoot the ball better with her back to the hoop. Another reverse layup for Candlin. And that would really power the Cavs to a 17-5 third quarter. Put them in command in the game. And then a nice touch to finish out the game. Injured Drew Gilton comes in despite the brace on her knee. And she gets to run out the clock as St. Thomas More wins their 4th championship in the last 4 years. And a very happy bunch of Cavaliers commented after the game.
It was the most relieving feeling ever because, the first half we kind of struggled. Our shots weren't falling that much. But when, a couple of them went, you could, feel it and you're just yeah, let's go.
At one point I did ask Mr. Candlin if I could go in. He said sadly no. But I think at halftime we knew that our shots weren't falling. and we just needed to be confident. We knew our defense would pull through, which it has all year. So we just had to believe.
The emotional roller coaster ride. I mean, it's very special. The fourth thing, again, I'm not sure we kind of knew about it or think about it, but it was a different team and they had to prove something, and they really stepped up and did that.
Meanwhile, in Huron, there was a lot of star power shining in the Bees. Here's a look at how the tournament unfolded. The first round went as planned. Then in the semis, we had a rematch of the last two title games. Ethan played Sully Buttes, and Sully Buttes pulled out a back-and-forth game. On the other side, Sanborn Central got the 55-49 win over Warner. Both teams coming into this contest with just one loss on the season. Let's go to the action. First quarter, Sanborn Central's Maya Sullen. It's so hard to stop. Hits the three-pointer, comes right back down the court, and gets the tough basket on the step-through. Coming back down on the other side, though, Raquel Winchus with the bounce pass to Chloe Lamb. Ties it up at 13, and to end out the first quarter, Chloe Lamb gets that soft little jumper in the middle of the lane she's so good at. This is where Sully Buttes starts to pull away. Sharing is caring. Chloe Lamb returns the favor back to Winchus for the three-pointer. That's good. And coming into halftime, it was all Sully Buttes. They led by 10, 33-23. Third quarter now. Rachel Guthmiller has been such a big part of this team as well. Hits the jump shot. And then Winchus with 5 three-pointers. This is one of those. Hits it at the buzzer at the end of the third quarter. That puts up Sully Buttes 47-33. Sanborn Central Woonsockets. Maya Sellen tries to get him back. Dishes it over to Maddie Vermillion for 2. But in the end, Chloe Lamb and Raquel Winchus are just too much. Another big three-pointer for Winchus, and the seniors get to celebrate. Very determined effort by these two who are so familiar with playing in the state title game. Sully Buttes, back-to-back champions. Let's hear from the Chargers.
And we just kept working, and we kept working, and we kept battling. We kept playing team basketball, and we found a way to get it done.
Chloe and I wanted to go out to another state championship, and everyone else wanted one too, so I don't know, our team just kind of came together and we're all great friends, so it helped out a lot.
We've got a great group of girls here, a great community, great coaches. I just couldn't be more proud of our girls and the hard work that we put in.
South Dakota will crown 4 new champions, and North Dakota has 1 left to go. We'll make our way through all the teams to get you ready for all the action after this.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports, and if you've been watching the show all season, you know Jason and Jay have been making prediction all season. Let's update you on those right now.
Well, after last week's picks, where Jandy got 2 out of 4 champions correct, he takes a 2-point lead heading into the final week. And remember, for the championship round, if they pick the correct champion of the tournament, they get the team's seed points for that contest. So that means Jay is by no means out of the running.
Well, let's hope not. For more bold predictions in South Dakota, we go back to Jason Andera. Jason, let's start with the boys tournament. You take a look at that first round matchups. Which game stands out to you?
Well, there are a lot of interesting games, but I think Huron and Sioux Falls Lincoln could be the best of the bunch. Both these teams played really well down the stretch. Huron has won 9 games in a row at the end of their regular season. Lincoln was 5 out of 6 at the end of their regular season. 2 very good coaches, 2 really athletic teams. Should be a good one.
Now, with that said, O'Gorman has to feel like the heavy favorite in this tournament, don't they?
Yes, they do. It's been a while since that we've had a team like O'Gorman. The winner of that Huron-Lincoln game is going to have their hands full with a likely matchup with the Knights. Of course, OG has to get past the red-hot Harrisburg team in that first round, but if they do, that team really looks comfortable in their roles this season.
All right, let's see if you can keep the picks going strong. Who do you think wins it all?
Well, I've got to go with O'Gorman. They've been tested all season long, and they keep getting better. Remember, they've beaten some of the best teams in the state without their star center, J.P. Costello. Now that he's back in the lineup, I think teams are going to have trouble with them. Really, the Knights are the best team in the state, and I've got Jay's picks as well. He agrees. He's going to be choosing O'Gorman, too.
All right, let's move to the girls' double A's, where all the first-round matchups are rematches. How's that going to play out?
Yeah, it's interesting that it'll be the 3rd or 4th matchup in each of these first-round games. Plus, we've got 2 Rapid City schools facing each other, 2 Sioux Falls schools going at it right away. In that 3-6 matchup, we've got the defending champs in an underdog role. Aberdeen will have their hands full with a deep, athletic Brandon Valley team. And then you got the favorites in the fourth matchup. Harrisburg's riding a 21-game winning streak, and they have to go up against a good backcourt that Pierre brings. A lot of interesting matchups in that opening day on Thursday.
Okay, time for your prediction again. What do you and Jay think will happen in this bracket?
Well, it's tough to pick against Harrisburg. They haven't lost since the first game of the season, but it wouldn't surprise me to see a team like either Brandon Valley or Aberdeen make a run. Of course, they face off in the first round, so one of those teams could be tough. And then you've got a couple of home teams with Rapid City Central and Stevens going at it, so the crowd could put them at a little bit of an advantage. But I got to go with Harrisburg, and Jay once again is going to agree with me. He's taking Harrisburg. I'm afraid our picks haven't been too bold so far.
All right, thank you so much, Jandy. When we come back, we will finish up the South Dakota previews and stay with us for the North Dakota B preview later in the show.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports. For more on the South Dakota A and B state tournaments, we bring back Jason Andera.
And Jason, Class A tried a new format this year to come up with the state qualifiers. In your eyes, did that process work?
You know, I think it did work. In my mind, the two top threats to win this thing are Madison and Sioux Falls Christian, and in years past, they wouldn't have both been able to qualify for state, but this year, the way they did it with the Sweet 16, we saw a lot of regions produce two teams. Region 4 and Region 5 also got two to state. Region 1, 2, and 7, though, were shut out of the big stage, so I suppose it depends on how you look at the whole thing, but in my mind, it definitely did work. We got the 8 best teams to state, even though it's a little different than what we're used to.
Let's take a look at the field of teams. Give us your first impression on those first round matchups.
Well, at first glance, you look at a team like Dakota Valley, a 12-10 record, and you wonder, how did they get there? But they have a really solid team. So Madison has got to be on guard. On the other side, you've got Madison, who has waves of defenders that come at you. Plus, they spread out the scoring on their offense. I think the rest of the first round features a lot of toss-up games. And again, short on time here, so make sure to check out our podcast. It goes much more in depth at midcosn.com.
Well, Jason, the field is pretty wide open. Every team with at least 3 losses. Who do you think gets hot at the right time and ends up cutting down the nets?
Oh, I'm going to go with Madison, and it's not just because they're the top seed. I think they have the most athletes in this thing, and they also have the most big game experience. They've shown that they're able to beat playoff teams time and time again. Jay actually differs with me on this one, though. He's going to go with Sioux Falls Christian to get a second title in 2 years. I do think the Chargers have a legitimate shot to win this thing. I've had them in number 2 in my rankings pretty much all season long, so I think they're very close to Madison's level.
All right, let's move to Class B now. Bridgewater Emory has found a way to really skate through their schedule unbeaten. What team could potentially get in their way this weekend en route to a title?
Well, Platte Geddes starts their path right away, and Malachi Girton leads the Black Panthers, who are playing really well right now, but the real test for them could come in the second round with Sully Buttes. They have a couple of post players playing at a very high level, Jacob Howard and Lincoln George. Those two combined for about 40 points per game over the last couple games, so very interesting there. And then on the other side of the bracket, you've got teams like Woolsey-Wessington, who are going to be really good. Roadblocks like Langford, Parker, Harding County especially, they've won 17 of their last 18, so a lot of good teams in this field.
All right, Jason, time to put you on the spot and make your pick. Who do you like to win 3 games in 3 days?
I'm going to go with Bridgewater Emory again, another number 1 seed. I know it's the easy way out, but they are the best team 1 through 6. It's going to be interesting to see how this team handles the limelight. That's a big burden being undefeated, but I think they'll be fine and get it done. And Jay, of course, is going to agree with me again, so we just differ on that one pick in the A's. After the B's, though, we're not going to have any more separation.
Varsity Sports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Mitchell Technical Institute and Farmers Union Insurance Agency.
It's always special to get to go, the state tournament in Class B, but I mean, especially this year, we got a big group of seniors and it means a lot to us.
Yes, we want to enjoy it, take it all in, but we are there to win games, so we want to make sure we have fun. But Class B basketball to me is about as good as it gets, and we're just lucky we've been a part of it for so many years.
Still one more tournament to preview, and that is North Dakota Class B boys. Jody, should be a fun tournament coming up in Minot.
Yeah, it all gets underway Thursday with the quarterfinal round at 1 o'clock. It's the Dickinson Trinity versus Ellendale quarterfinal. Dickinson Trinity comes in with a 22-2 record. Their only losses were to Four Winds Minnewacan in Oak Grove. So this is a talented team for Ellendale. They went 20-5. They were the Region 3 champ. It's their first trip to state, Brian, in 32 years.
Hillsborough Central Valley taking on Turtle Lake Mercer coming in. Only team in the field that has beaten Four Winds Minnewacan is Hillsborough Central Valley. Balanced group, played a tough schedule. Kyle Henningsgaard, Region Player of the Year. I really like this Borough squad because they shoot 40% from three. TLM, not an easy road to come out of Region 5. 3 really tight games in that tournament, so they can play a little bit loose as the underdog.
Four Winds Minnewacan is the top seed, and for good reason. They're the defending state champs, and like you mentioned, only lost that one game to Hillsborough Central Valley. 4 players averaged double digits in scoring, led by Toronto's McKay's 21 per game. They averaged 77 points per game, allowed just 46 points per game. That's third in the state, so their defense is good. They'll be playing against Stanley, the Region 8 champs. If you haven't heard, they can throw it down big time. Check out this video. Cousins Wyatt Hansen and Caden Hansen are just juniors, and they look like they're dunking on a Nerf basket like me and you at work, Brian.
Yeah, not bad. Those guys can really get up, and they do it in athletic fashion. The Grovers, how about that? The late game, you got Oak Grove against Bishop Ryan. The Grovers, 9th tourney appearance, 5th under Kyle Card. Andrew Christensen playing really well. Oak Grove really cruised for Region 1. Would love to get another shot at Four Winds Minnewacan after what happened last year. Bishop Ryan, solid club. Had to go through our Redeemers, Black Burlington, very, very tough region in Region 6. You know, Battle has some experience, almost 10 rebounds on the offensive side of the game. So now it is time for predictions. Jason and Jay, both going with Four Winds Minnewacan. What do you think, Jody?
Well, I like the way Oak Grove is playing right now, like you had mentioned, but I just don't think a team has an answer for Four Winds Minnewacan right now. They're a motivated bunch. They want to go back-to-back. I see it happening just like the other two.
Well, experience matters. Oak Grove, Four Winds would love to play once again in the semifinals. That could be really fun on Friday night. That's our time on Varsity Sports. We'll see you next week.